Countless late nights, busted knuckles, and more setbacks than wins.
Oh my god, holy crap. How did I not see that?
I've poured years of my life into this R32 Skyline, and there were genuinely moments I almost gave up. When nothing felt right, when the build felt cursed, and honestly, walking away seemed like a smarter option. But this car means too much for me to quit. It took me a year to build this setup, a fully forged RB25 Neo with some controversial parts. However, this build should technically be capable of up to 600 horsepower, and in the last video, we got it on the dyno.
That's the first time I've heard the dose.
Now things didn't go exactly to plan. We ran into fuel system issues, and instead of pushing our luck, we shut it down.
Looks like I forgot to tighten one of the fuel pump lines that come directly out of the fuel pump, so that's probably our issue.
Before that though, the car made 360 kilowatts, which is almost 500 horsepower, but the guys at CPG have sent me home and directed me on what to do next in order to bring that fuel pressure up.
On the right side,
Yep.
the motor stayed together.
It did.
Main thing.
The motor's still together, which is good.
It survived round 1 of the dyno. Let's see if it survives round 2.
Got a free filmer today. Yeah. We are back today with the R32 Skyline with the RB25 Neo, and today we need to fix all the issues so we can take it back to the dyno and go back for another retune. The car made 365 kilowatts on E60. We want to run full E85, and in order to do that, the tuner has advised us to run an extra pump, and just for a little bit of safety, to make sure that the pump gets all of the amperage it needs, we are running a high flow amp.
What did he say?
Look at that. Amp. Did I say amp?
Yeah, amp. The subwoofers are gonna go crazy.
Running a high amp alternator. That's right.
High flow alternator.
High flow alternator. So this, I believe, produces about 150 amps, whereas the standard one, oh no, that's 120. The standard one produces about 90. So this is going to be a big upgrade, and we're also going to be changing out the wastegate spring in this. So currently we have a 14-pound spring. We're going to add a 7-pound spring. But yeah, check out this Turbo Smart wastegate. This is the 50mm that we're running. Now it's got a little bit of color on it. Looks way cooler than when it came out of the box. Let's get to work, guys.
We're changing out the 14 PSI spring because the turbo will be pushing above 21 PSI, and with the soft spring the wastegate can get pushed open too early, and that's when you get spikes, and that's how you hurt a fresh engine. Going a stiffer spring just keeps the gate shut properly, gives the tuner better control, and makes the boost way more stable when we lean on it.
The way I designed this makes it very hard to take the wastegate on and off, but with the right arm bends, we got this. Yeah, look at that. Sweet. Hopefully this makes all the difference and we have no issues with the voltage drop to the battery, because we're actually having a little bit of a voltage drop. So maybe it'll help, because, you know, the other alternator was crusty as hell. But there's also another thing that we got to fix before we take it back to the dyno. Quick break. If you didn't know this, I edit all my own videos, and I usually have to take breaks, do some weird looking exercises, roll around on the floor, and, you know, move a little bit to keep physical. Because to sit down for 10 to 20 hours editing the videos that you guys watch is taxing and not good for your body. And that is where today's video sponsor comes in, FlexiSpot. So guys, this is my E7 Plus standing desk from FlexiSpot. And before we continue, I need to show you guys a before and after of my old setup versus the new setup. It is literally so much better. And of course, currently, I am standing up right now, which is wild. Now, before I got this desk, I was quite concerned with how stable it would be at max height, especially being at my height at 6'2", being able to use this comfortably. Was it going to shake? So I'm gonna give it a few wobbles. You can see my monitors moving. and FlexiSpot claims that this E7 desk can hold up to 200 kilos, and it already has my entire setup on top. It's also lifted up quite high. Now it should also be able to hold my weight, which is about 85 kilos. Let's put that to the test. Oh, this could be bad. Here we go. Oh, I'm up. Oh. This thing is incredibly stable, guys. Oh my god, what the hell?
So this desk can hold up to 540 pounds or 244 kilos. It has 3-stage legs suitable for all heights and will lift all the way up to 51.57 inches, which is the highest 4-leg standing desk you can buy. It also comes with a 15-year warranty and a 30-day risk-free return service. It's budget friendly compared to other standing desks in the market, which are well above thousands of dollars. And the controls are super easy to use with manual adjustment and also 2 settings for 2 different heights. There's also a bunch of different colors to choose from, and FlexiSpot is having a mega sale now. So if you want to grab an E7 Plus 4-leg standing desk, check out their website and use my code for $50 off. And if you have a limited budget, try their E7 Premium desk. And thanks FlexiSpot for sponsoring today's video.
Now the next thing that we need to do before we take this thing to the dyno is fix this transmission mount. So as you guys know, we are running an R32 gearbox, the big boy box with the big boy clutch. And I'll show you in a second, but the gearbox mount doesn't align up with the factory holes on the R32. So you can see very clearly now, the gearbox is only held on by 2 bolts, one there and one there, and it needs to be like sort of shifted over one more in order to be properly mounted. So what I'm gonna have to do is take this mount off and extend it all so that there's a hole there for another bolt to go into, because yeah, this gearbox does not belong in this car. Fabrication time, baby.
This was definitely something I should have done before the first dyno sesh, but I honestly forgot about it because this build has taken so damn long. Now I'm definitely not a fabricator, but I can make things stick. So let's see how we go.
Okay, so now we've got the gearbox mount sorted. The next thing I've got to do is the dual fuel pump upgrade, because as you guys know, on the dyno, we ran out of fuel pressure and the guys at CPG have recommended that we install a second pump in order to keep up with the fuel pressure. I could do a complete rehaul of the fuel system and run -8, but that would mean a lot more work. And I'm happy with its current power at 360 kilowatts. If we even make anywhere near that on fully 85, that is gonna be more than enough. Anyway, look who's here, guys. It's the sound of a 45-year-old man. So here is a quick look at our boot setup. I've relocated the battery to the boot, but what I hadn't done in the last video was actually mount it in the boot. Now we've got the proper mounts, so it actually sits in there. We've got the cables running to it, and this is what the CPG guys want us to completely get rid of. And they want us to replace it with this.
A common problem CPG comes across is people bringing in their DIY projects and the fuel pump wiring not being able to support the amperage. The issue with my setup is that the fuse that this kit comes with is too small. It's still a 30 amp fuse, but the contact patch on the spade of the fuse is going to create more resistance and heat versus their in-house kit. You can see the fuses on their kit are much larger, and they also support the wiring to suit, and the CPG guys have supplied us with their dual fuel pump wiring setup, and that's why there's 2 relays and 2 fuses. If you're after a clean setup like this with the bracket included, hit them up. And before we install this, we need to figure out our dual fuel pumps.
Ollie has kindly donated us a spare 525, so we're going to install that as well. So we're going to be running 2 pumps in the tank. This one's going to be triggered by the ECU when we need it. I don't know how Dan's going to do that. He might trigger it off throttle position or load, I'm not too sure, but not my problem, I guess. We'll just worry about installing the hardware. pump is now out. And I don't know how I'm gonna fit 2 fuel pumps on this hanger, but we gotta figure this out. So, there's not much room in the tank, but yeah, we're gonna somehow run 2 fuel pumps. Oh my God. Kickflip, kickflip.
Almost lost my balls.
I'm taking out my fuel pump. Yes, look at that. Oh, it stinks. Stinks, man. It smells bad. It's like mixed with 98. Worst combo.
Have you seen those TikToks? What perfume you wear? 98. Oh, punk. Punk.
Yeah, nice.
How the frick and the frick.
How do I freaking frick the frick?
And the frick.
In the frick and the frick. Frick! Smells like ass, bruh.
Now the reason why I'm doing this is to save money. There are plenty aftermarket options for dual fuel pump hanger kits, but this is going to cost me absolutely nothing, just a little bit of a headache. So here we're installing another bulkhead fitting for the secondary pump, and I think this is going to work.
We got Nathan here. Say hi. Nick.
Zip it, you.
Yep, I'm now modifying fuel pumps, fuel pumpuses, 2525s, wall bros. Look.
No, that's my clean towel.
Now it's covered in fuel.
Push with me.
Angry Megalodon. Look how he walks, it's like a dinosaur.
Stop touching my car. This is what we've come up with. I've managed to save myself hundreds and hundreds of dollars. We've mounted 2 fuel pumps in the standard fuel hat assembly. We've added a bulkhead fitting there. We're using 1 bulkhead fitting for both of the pump grounds, which should probably be fine. Essentially, I cut up a little bracket here at the back, aluminium bracket, then put some hose clamps on the side behind it, and then there you go, there's our bracket. Ollie managed to get us a little Y piece right here, and then we just ran both pumps to that Y piece. We got 1,000 liters per hour now, baby. 1,050 liters per hour.
In a fuel crisis.
In a fuel crisis. It's all right, we're running ethanol, so.
Yeah, so it's the same price as 91.
Exactly. We're gonna install this now. Hopefully it all fits. And then, yeah. So we've just filled up with 40 litres of E85. We're in a fuel crisis right now, and 40 litres cost me $90, which is cheaper than 91 or 98. Make sure you put your car in E85 in order to save money. We are back for round 2 at CPG. Last time we came here, we made 369 kilowatts on E60. So this time we're running full E85. Let's see what we make. We might make similar power. I don't know how it's gonna go. Woo!
So Dan got the second fuel pump running, and you can clearly see here when the second fuel pump is triggered on, we have quite a bit of fuel pressure, probably a bit too much, but more is better than less. It's almost like a boost gauge. Now I've got a built motor, a Haltech ECU, so Nathan suggested that we put on all the features such as anti-lag and rotational idle. So of course, we're gonna do that.
The boys really want to hear anti-lag, so I've got Dan to maybe potentially set up some anti-lag on the handbrake switch. See how it goes.
Not good.
This is my idea. My idea.
Not good! Is it easy to set this up?
Ah, that's not too bad. You know what you're doing.
Is this something that you recommend doing? Or is this just for like the wank factor?
That's wank.
Never heard of anti-lag before on one of my cars anyway. Oh God. Dan's clicking away. Oops. Oh God. Holy crap. That's wild, man. One more time.
Wow, get.
Holy crap. Hell, that's loud.
That's a lot of noise.
That's right, we're gonna rock up to the car meets, hit some anti-lag, you know? That's who we are nowadays, guys. Anti-lag guys. Yeah. What do you think? Not good. Not good. Oh. So Dan's just playing around with the rotational idle. That sounds so weird.
There were points where this car was nothing more than a pile of parts on the floor. No guarantee it would ever run, let alone make it to the dyno. Slowly, it has come together, one problem solved, then another, and now hearing it finally tuned, this is the moment all of it finally pays off. The R32 is going to stay at CPG for another week to get dialed in. They're going to dial in the hot start and the cold start and drive the car around to make sure that it's perfect when I get it back. And make sure you subscribe because when we get the car back, we're going to take it on the street and be able to drive it with 100% throttle. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.